Hi, it's Velocity from thisisrnb.com, and we're here unveiling our top 10 scariest Halloween R&B themed movies of all time. Coming in at number 10 is Obsessed, starring Beyonce.
Sharon! Sharon!
Oh, Derek, I'm gonna call you back.
This, I feel like it's perfectly meshed on the list because it's not necessarily scary as in a thriller, but it's scary in the sense of the concept of having a stalker that's coming after you. And it's like your husband's not cheating on you, he just has a stalker and she won't take his word for no, and now she's coming after you and your whole family, and now you have to protect them. And I just love Beyonce in this movie, and I remember her being on a talk show talking about the fight scene with the headbutt, and she was like, do people really do that? And she was like, they were like, yeah, we really do, we gotta get down, you gotta protect your family. And she was like, okay, I'm here for it. So I love this movie, and I love that it comes in at number 10.
Absolutely. It's scary in the sense that you don't know what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like packed with different action, and it's scary to have a psycho stalker after you and your husband and your family. So yeah, I think this is a good fit. Number 10, coming in at number 10.
And I think this was a very depth-adding piece to Beyonce's filmography, because she had been seen and doing a lot of biopics or films inspired by other musicians. So Obsessed was one of her first serious roles that wasn't tied to like a comedy, like a Austin Powers or anything like that, or even like Fighting Temptation.
I love that movie.
Where it still had elements of music. So for me, the reason why I love Obsessed at number 10 is because it's still quoted to today. And I think that a lot of people have this idea of who they think Beyonce is, and she's like soft and delicate and she's not a fighter. But that Houston came out of her. That Houston definitely came out of her. And that scene, and she was, the funniest part to me in that scene is seeing Beyonce, the superstar, and then seeing her break character. Like, no, I'm from Houston, third world for real. Like, I will put hands and feet on you.
Exactly. Right. Don't come for my family. She let me know.
And even the fact that her in the scene with Idris Elba, him co-starring with someone like Idris, and being able to steal the scene where she's in her beautiful hair, and she's crying, she's heartbroken, and she's trying to tell her husband, like, I'm not accepting this, I don't believe you, I don't believe you have a stalker, no one is that crazy, right? And then he's like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, well, maybe you could go to hell. Okay, until then, I suggest the 4 seasons. And that line is constantly quoted on social media.
Yes.
And for the youngsters, they may not know that it comes from Obsessed, but Obsessed has a lot of moments where they're constantly quoted online. And I think it really showed that Beyonce is not as prim and proper as we think she is. She's willing to get down there and punch a few people, slap a few hoes.
And it just shows her versatility as an artist, and that she can play these, like you said, biopics, or just dream girls and all these types of characters. Carmen Jones, I think that was her other movie. But this was like a real character. I mean, Cadillac Records, that was also had realness to it. But this was like everyday life. I'm not singing, I'm not a performer, I'm just an everyday wife, mom who's here, and this is what's happening, which is totally relatable and believable.
Yeah, for sure. I loved her in this because a lot of women can relate to this. Maybe not to this level, but the element of I'll do whatever I have to do for my family.
Yeah.
And I'll take you down and don't play with me. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I really love her in this film.
Yeah.
And people think that Solange is like the tough cookie in the family. And I was like, well, who do you think she got it from? She must have got it from her big sister, right?
Yeah.
Coming in at number 9 is none other than Resident Evil Extinction, starring the R&B princess Ashanti.
Stop!
Oh, hell no. Let's get out of here. here for the bus. Come on.
Ashanti.
Let's start with the filmography of Ashanti. A lot of people don't look at Ashanti in this way as a fully realized actress. Like,
Yes.
she has such an extensive catalog of films to go through, and I think with Resident Evil, it gets ignored because she had to step out of what people see her as a very curvaceous sex kitten or whatever. Even with the holiday movies, like she's lighthearted, around the way girl. So those are the roles that people primarily know her for. But like toting Glocks and taking out zombies, people don't think about it, right?
Yeah, they don't.
So with this particular film appearance from Ashanti, she's sustained a significant amount of screen time in this role. But the thing that stuck out to me the most is Ashanti was able to be Ashanti. Like I met her in person and I know how down and how vibrant she is. So to see her like toting fake guns and like punching zombies in the face and like fighting off killer birds, I was like, I guess if I was stuck in a zombie apocalypse, I would be all right if I had Ashanti on my side.
I mean, definitely. And the way she was, even though I know you said about the sexiness, but I felt like she was extremely sexy in this movie. Not necessarily even trying. She just is naturally sexy.
Yes.
And she did a phenomenal role. She played this role phenomenally, I should say. And the fact that, you know, she was so different. It was a character that we've never seen from her before. And it was realistic. It was totally realistic. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel overacting. It was none of that. It was just like, okay, we're gonna do this and this is how it's gonna go. I believe you as this character. And even like you said with the fighting scenes and the guns and everything, it's like, yo, like Ashanti, you're really a badass, and I am here for it. And exactly, totally, she would be like my #1 pick to be when in a zombie apocalypse for sure.
I'm right over Ashanti, right?
Yes. And
She's beginning at the alphabet. There you go.
I totally agree. Like this was another opportunity to show like you thought you knew who Ashanti is, but like I have more to me, you know, and she showed that in this film. And it was like, okay, she is kick-ass, beautiful, talented, and out there kicking ass in this movie. So I feel like this was her opportunity to show like her versatility.
And I think a lot of people are flabbergasted by like the action sequences that occur in this film and the stunts that Ashanti does. But the thing that I'm most impressed by is the fact that she still had those baby hairs laid ponytail throughout the apocalypse. Like jam gel, got to be, all of that was out of stock, right?
Yes.
So the fact that she could kick butt and keep her edges laid, why would you not go with Ashanti during the zombie apocalypse? Because if you're gonna die looking fly, okay?
Right, exactly. She was sweating and all, but those edges were still laying down, baby.
Gorgeous.
Coming in at #8 is The Faculty, starring our featured baby boo thing here, Usher.
Hey, yo, piss watch, you're in my way.
I'm sorry. I was breathing here.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're occupying my air, you anal probe. Hey, yo, stand.
Ooh, yes. Can we just talk about him being a bad boy in this movie? Can we just talk about that for a minute?
Is that not like everybody's inner fantasy?
Yes. I mean, he was so mean, but he was so sexy. Young Usher, we loved you in that for sure. And another one who has he's a phenomenal artist, all-rounded artist, you know, and you know, he can easily go on Broadway, he can play a villain, he can play the good guy. It doesn't matter what role or anything that you put in front of Usher, he tackles it, he nails it, and he's believable.
Yeah. He's a consummate professional. I think that's one thing that has remained true throughout Usher's entire career. And with this film appearance, it was very early on in his career. So you can still hear the baby Usher voice. His bass didn't quite kick in yet. He didn't really have all the facial hair yet. But the thing that I love the most about this is, like you said, Usher's commitment to a role. You give him, he's supposed to be the good guy, he's going to do that. He's supposed to be the villain, he's going to do that. He's supposed to be the desirable next door neighbor, he's going to do that. He's supposed to be Mr. Steal Your Girl, Mr. Don't Leave Him Around Me.
He gonna do that.
He gonna do that.
And he done did that.
A couple times.
And I think that with The Faculty, one of the things that I love the most about this film itself is the fact that this film was one of those stories that could be plucked from any timeline and recreated. I think a lot of times when we think about horror / gore, scary thriller, whatever the case is, a lot of it is very fixed in a particular time period. But because it had an element to thriller, suspense, and then sort of like sci-fi, I think it could really go all ways. And I think that with this performance from Usher, I would love to see him in a lot more films. I'm curious as to why he doesn't dabble in film a lot more, but I would like to see him in a lot more films.
Yeah, and definitely more horror movies. Because I feel like he did such a phenomenal job in this movie that like continue to build upon that.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, he has such a good guy image, and he's always desirable for any reason, right? Whether it's his musical talent, his charismatic personality, and I think that that's something that you cannot practice. Mm-hmm. Either you have it or you don't have it.
It's innate.
Yeah, so I think that Usher should definitely expand his filmography a bit more, and I think this showed why he should be considered.
Absolutely.
Coming in at number 7 is none other than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, starring Trey Songz.
What happened?
The car stopped.
What?
Hey,
back it up. Back it up.
So yeah, I love all of the offerings from the franchise. I can watch them all day. They are actually still scary to this day for me. And I feel like Trey Songz really did a good job in this. He was, a little flirt, and he ended up getting killed, but
deservingly so.
Yes, he did a couple things that, didn't make me happy, but I still love the movie.
Yeah, I definitely would say it's a really great one, and I loved him in this character. I thought he did a great job. He was believable, and it's really hard, I think, for us as fans to see, our artists transition into other things outside of what we know them for. So we know them for music. It's like, stay in your lane, give us music. But then when you when you transfer over into whether it's film or you want to be a director or whatever it is that you want to do outside of what we know you for, it doesn't always go over so well. People aren't necessarily great actors, but I felt like he was totally believable. And all the people so far that you've mentioned on the list, they've been believable in these characters and these roles. And I was here for it. Even though I don't like scary movies and I could not watch the whole thing because I am just too afraid, but I thought that he did a really great job from what I did see, for sure.
Yeah, and I think for me, the best part about this is I remember as a young goober watching the original with my family growing up. Of course on DVD because it had already come out in theaters. Yeah. But going to the cinema to see the actual remake with Trey Songz, I didn't feel like I lost any authenticity from the actual story. And this is something that I go back often and rewatch around the spooky season because of that reason. And I think that, like you said, we always view our artists in one particular way, right? If we've learned them from a songwriter, they have a hard time transitioning over to a main artist, or if they're a singer, transition over to film. But with this particular role for Trey Songz, I think that it allowed us to softly transition him into film and TV because they featured his music throughout the movie and he was vibing to it. So we got to see, okay, this is still Trey Songz,
right?
But he's a normal guy in this. He wasn't stepping into a role that wasn't familiar. He was a flirt. He's supposed to have a boo thing. He ended up doing something that he shouldn't have done, and he ended up where he should have for messing with his boo thing's heart. But this role in particular, I think it allowed him to really dip his toe into film in the safest way possible, and I think it was a great introduction for his film career. Hi, this is Philosophy from thisisr&b.com. We're nearing the top half of our top 10 scariest Halloween R&B themed movies of all time. Coming in at hot at number 6 is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, starring our songbird Brandy.
Oh man. Love Brandy. This was a really a good one. She did a great job in this movie, and all of the offerings from the franchise. But this was really special because of our songbird Brandy, right?
Yeah.
It makes you feel a different way watching her on the screen, and of course, you know, her acting goes, you know, a long way. She's really had a lot of experience on screen, and you can tell. So not only is she a talented singer, but she has the acting skills to match, right? So I think that this was a great job that Brandy did in this, and I think it's good for number 6.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I feel like it doesn't matter, again, she's another one of those artists that it doesn't matter what you put in front of her, she's just gonna gobble it up, and she is just going to give us her all, and we are just gonna fall in love with her. We're gonna love her if she's a bad girl. This is something that is totally different out of her character, of what we imagine for her. You know, and I just feel like she's just so captivating. Like, you just really get lost in all of her performances, and you really believe her as those characters. And she just, I don't know, she's just
phenomenal.
She's just Brandy. She's just Brandy. You know what I mean? Like, we just love her, and any and everything that she does and that she touches, it's like, yes, that has that Brandy stamp on it, you know?
Brandy is our GOAT for a reason. I think that when we look at Brandy as a singer, Brandy as the vocal Bible, Brandy as the actress, there is no area that you can discount her on. And I think with this particular film, the reason why I think people really gravitated towards it is because, yes, we know her from Moesha, yes, we know her from The Game, right? We know her from all of these syndicated series on network television, but with this particular film, we saw Brandy transition from the good girl next door to, okay, maybe there is some edge to her. Maybe there is something else that we can get from her. And I think that one of the things that I love the most is when we step into the world of film and cinema, the visual appeal is often what's the first thing to go for a lot of artists, right?
Yeah.
They want to immediately change what they look like so that way they can disassociate themselves from what fans know them as and have become familiar with. And I think with Brandy keeping her braids in this film really spoke to me as a young girl to say, okay, well, she is not interested in dumbing down, watering down, transitioning out, or softening it out her blackness to appeal to the mainstream. And I think that especially on the success of like a movie like Cinderella.
I was gonna mention that, yes.
On the success for like a movie like Cinderella, having that foresight for like little brown girl me growing up to see girls that look like me can be in films like this, and girls that look like me have friends that are all different colors.
Yeah.
So I think that not only was it a wide dynamic range for her acting, but I think it also speaks to her staple in pop culture overall across the board, right? Brandy's iconic braids, Brandy's iconic makeup looks, Brandy's iconic roles. I think Brandy should be respected as one of the young budding princesses of Halloween, right? She doesn't get that look.
Yeah, she doesn't. And exactly what you said, it's totally different. And like you were talking about Cinderella, which I was gonna mention too, is that representation matters. Yeah. And I mean, you say it and it's like, okay, what does that really mean? But like, exactly, you can look at this film and we can see ourselves playing this role, you know, and it doesn't have to be, like you said, it's what African-American girls look like. We wear braids. We don't necessarily always wear our hair straight, or we don't always wear our hair curly. I just saw recently this thing that's going around with Princess Tiana for a hair commercial. Yeah, the hair commercial, and that she actually takes her hair down and we see her curls. So it's like, they're really subtle things, but it means so much.
The small nuances. I think Brandy is that. If you look in the actual dictionary for nuance, it's Brandy.
I would agree.
The vocals, nuance. The way she attacks a song, nuance. The role she picks, nuance, right? And I think I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those nuanced picks that has cemented her legacy.
Yeah, and you said icon like 4 times so far, and that's how we can kind of sum her up. Brandy's an icon.
And a trendsetter.
Absolutely.
She has really opened the doors for so many women that have come through. And it's just like, she's just, I don't know, I just feel like she just smells good. I feel like you could just give her a hug and she would just be like magic, make you feel so magical, you know? And when you watch her perform, I just see magic when I see Brandy. Any and everything that she does, it's magic.
Absolutely.
Those are definitely some great choices. Now we're almost at the #1 spot for our top 10 R&B Halloween themed movies and songs. But tell us what your favorites are in the comment section below, and stay tuned to see what we come up on in the #1 spot.